Well, g'day, and welcome to part one of my presentation of proof that God exists. Now, a brief introduction. I joined a group, I'm just looking at it now, where it's called the $100,000 Challenge, and this is going to be part one of my introductory proof, where basically I got welcomed. It says it's 2 hours ago, so I believe it's 2 hours ago. So I've been rushing around. Was going to dress for the occasion, but I'm sweating the freaking ass off, and I'm watching fish tanks and trying to brew. Speaking of which, happy Sunday. It's the 4th of March here today, and it's 1:30 p.m. here on the east coast of Australia. Here's one I made myself. Looks a little bit frothy, but it'll go down. So cheers, happy 4th of March. So I got welcomed by Robert Doc Foster. Welcome, Ross Thatcher. Thank you, Robert. Exodus 20:8-11- quote, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, right? Well, it is Sunday here, and that is for me traditionally the Sabbath, even though Saturday is the Sabbath, so I'm keeping it holy. Holy bloody excellent. It's Saturday for the American staff, and that's a great day to have you try to come here and prove a God. Now, I mean, you sort of put me on the spot straight away in that I said, yeah, I'll do it, but I didn't really think you'd say, right, bam, go for it, because it's not exactly something you can do like the things you're asking for. And I will go into a few things that you've reminded me of here, so I'm just going to read through it all just so we know the foot we're starting off on. Good luck, sir. I'm personally excited as you'll be the first person ever to do this in history. In order to keep this tidy, we ask you to keep your posting to this thread so members don't have to chase you down all across the group. Awesome. Please don't link to YouTubes unless you can assure us they are not monetized. We don't allow memes, but we do allow infographics and quality photographs you've created and are featured in with appropriate data to match and documentation that has been through scientific peer review. Any further questions can be resolved with our team of admins and moderators. We're ready with cash in hand. And I think it's like not the full 100,000, unless it is. I think they're only sort of offering mini prizes for each little thing. And even though I've tried to say I'm also trying to document the flat earth, or to prove it, I'll do that as well for free. That seems fair, right? Most of all, this isn't a place for debate or thought. We are literally paying for proof only, perhaps if you have brought a God. So now this is where you've already loaded the whole question. And that's the problem, is that there's no such thing as a God. So to provide proof for a God is asking for the impossible, because there's no such thing. What God is everything. There is nothing which isn't of God. So therefore to say, show me your own, I want to see my own eyeballs. I mean, I can see them in the video here. I can't bite my own teeth. I can clash them together, but I can't bite them. And so that's kind of what you're doing when you're asking for proof of a God, is to say, I could answer that quite simply by saying, well, show me what isn't God. If all of existence is God, then everything is of God. It is all God. And the most simple analogy I can do to get the ball rolling, before I even look through the rest of the comments, I was going to do that first, but this is where I was going to start with my presentation. Assuming nothing exists, how do I know I exist? Well, I think, therefore I am. So I am God. You are looking at God. You cannot prove otherwise. You might ask me to perform some parlor tricks for you. Well, how about this? Breathing in and breathing out is an absolute miracle of nature. Talking, you looking at me. I mean, I can feel myself. I feel quite real. I can touch my fingers with my fingers. I'm pretty sure I exist. But there is a chance that I'm in a deep coma somewhere, that I got hit by a train when I was a young child, and I've been in a coma for the last 35 years. There's a possibility of that, and that every of my experiences since then is a dream. I mean, I have some very, very vivid dreams every night, actually. And to me, they are very realistic at the time. You know, dogs coming up nuzzling me type of thing feels like a dog actually coming up and nuzzling me. When I go flying, it feels like I'm actually flying. I cannot tell the difference in the dream world between what is real and what isn't. So I don't really know 100% that this, right now, and you listening to me, is real. I mean, for all I know, each and every one of you are a figment of my imagination. You know, I'm in a coma having a deep sleep, and you don't exist, you're not real. You might be computer programs, simulations, part of my imagination. You're not real at all. You know, I invented you. You exist in my world, but you only think you're existing in your own world because you're having your own experience of reality. So you're plugged into a virtual reality machine yourself and thinking, who the hell is this crazy idiot talking to me like this? Because that's the program you paid for. You know, you put your money in the slot and you said, this is the game I want to play, because when you're omniscient, when you know everything, when everything is known in advance, there's not much fun in that. It's quite boring. So what do? You keep inventing more and more ways of trying to hide from yourself because it's fun. You want experience. You want real world experiences. I mean, what's the point of living in blissful harmony the whole time if you've never been tortured and whipped and crucified? You know, that's part of the experience of existence. You'd probably pay good money to put yourself through that again, except you own all the money, you own everything, everything is you. So how do you find a way to hide? You have to create portals into other dimensions where, as you slip into that dimension, all your memory is wiped like a big, magnet going over the old floppy disk or something. Everything is wiped, so you start anew as a tiny baby, and you grow into all these different experiences, and then you think you are experiencing the real world. But you don't know if it's just a dream or a computer construct, or, you've got no way of knowing. I'm trying to keep this one alive because I'm going to find a quote in here shortly as well. I'll let it load up in a sec. I'm going to also consult one book, and it is a gospel book, and it's called The Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1. That's the only one. And it is not actually a gospel book. I do not believe in the God of the Gospels. Okay? Now, you're all sort of thinking, he's going to try and prove this ancient desert wandering God, Yahweh or Jesus or whoever you want to call him. No. And to use the flat earth, this is obviously going to take me more than half an hour. To use the flat earth, this is the reality. You want a God? I'll give you a God, Mars. You want another one? Jupiter. Another? Venus. Uranus. I nearly said Uranus, but that's a nasty word. They're all gods. They are actually, physically, gods. Not as you'd expect. They're not some bearded dude in a cloud. I know that's what you're trying to coax out of me, that you want to see an entity. There's no such thing when it comes to God. God is not a physical being. And it's not just a mental construct. It's a dimensional... You cannot explain it. We can't explain it in the physical world. So all I can do is give you allegories and examples and show you. And the thing where I said I was going to get started with, I still haven't gotten around to. And that is, for people who... There's the one I'm looking for. If the people who assume there is no God, okay, who do you think you are? You're a human being having a human experience in a human world, in a human realm, full of all sorts of other experiences, beings, animals, plants, rivers, lakes, oceans, the sky, the stars. Everything exists. But everything exists to you because you can perceive them, you can see them, you might hear some of them. You think that is proof that they exist. Well, that's all fine and good, but what about the cells in your body? Okay, you might have seen some pictures of them, you might have looked through a microscope yourself, you might assume that cells exist and that there is something going on inside our bodies with millions and millions of cells existing independently by themselves, all doing their function to make your body work for you so that you can have this experience that you feel is real. But the cells in your body, assuming that they had a consciousness, like we assume they just act automatically, they know what to do, so they do it. Now what if that's what we're meant to be in the realm of God? You know, if we're meant to know automatically what we're here to do, we'd be here to make the world a better place, to turn it into a paradise so that everybody didn't have to work continuously. We didn't have to go out hunting deadly animals for survival, that we could grow abundant food aquaponically, we could live in beautiful tree houses, we could live in a garden paradise if we applied ourselves to it. Maybe that's what we're here to do, you know, using the best of our technology to work with nature. But instead, no, we're all putting all our technology to warfare, trying how to take other people's wealth and plunder the world and sell ridiculous products like oil and all the derivatives of that to a populace who has no choice because we're enslaved in this debt system, which is obviously not what God ever created, what He has ever designed it for. But because we have been deceived by the great deceiver, and this will all be shown with the flat earth proof, how it all came about and how the answer to it all is God, the one true God. So go on back again, because this is going to be a long discussion. Let me just start with this quote. The lady who asked this one, how does God fare in the scheme of things? This is on a flat earth group I belong to on Facebook. It's called Flat Earth Backyard Experiments, and it is a private group. You have to apply to join. It is such that many things are not for us to know, but is the business of God. I'm not an academic by any means, nor am I going to profess to be. So when I say that the earth is flat, it's because of my own logical conclusions. And so, ignoring the other things, I just started with, I don't personally see the point referencing flat earth and God in the same sentence, unless maybe you were looking for a working definition of what God is like. Flat earth is infinite. God is infinite. Flat earth gives us our bodies, our clothes, our food, and our shelter. She is the very air we breathe, the water that sustains us and cleanses us, the lifeblood in our veins. Between the Father, Son, and the Mother Earth, all life is bestowed upon us, the earthlings, the children of God. There is nothing that is not of God. The disease of the mind is losing connection with this reality, to believe that God is something separate from us. How can something ever be separate from itself? And so I'll leave that there for a moment. That's what I'm getting to with the cells in our body, assuming they had a consciousness and they're all acting harmoniously for your overall well-being, to keep all your organs functioning. And they said, Ross is good. We believe in Ross. Ross is what we live for. We wouldn't exist if not for Ross. And then one cell turns around and says one day, what if there is no Ross? What if Ross is just a delusion, a figment of our imagination? How do we know there's a Ross? Can we prove there's a Ross? Can we see there's a Ross? Or do we just have to believe that there's a Ross and we all work in harmony for him? And this cell creates a bit of anxiety amongst the other cells around it, and they're going, you've got a good point there. How can we know that? Every time he bumps his elbow, 100 million of us die. He doesn't care about us at all. He's a selfish, angry, narcissistic, doesn't care at all, and he just goes and produces more of us to go and take the place. We're coming and going all the time. He lets young ones die just as much as the old ones. I don't think Ross exists. Let's start a movement and be anti-Ross. Let's call ourselves the atheists of Ross. The athei-Rosses. No, that doesn't work. So these cells start to organise together. And they say, we don't believe in the Ross. So what do? They start spreading this disease amongst the other cells who they're not sure. They've always believed in the Ross. They didn't question it. It was just, of course there's a Ross. Why else would we be here? You know, we didn't create ourselves. We had to have come from a source. And so they start fighting amongst themselves. Then you get the Ross believers versus the anti-Rosses. And then the anti-Rosses grow and grow in numbers because they realise over time there's less and less evidence of the Ross existing. You know, some of them just go through the poop tube and get shut out and they've never seen again, and they're going, this Ross is a nasty, evil, vindictive Ross. We're going to start an anti-Ross movement. And what they do is they start multiplying then, and they become like a cancer. And that's pretty much what the human mind in the overall Earth system is doing, because the Earth is a consciousness as much as it's a physical thing. So when you start not believing in the existence of the creator being of whom we're just a tiny cell, you start becoming a cancer, a disease, and you become infectious, and you will infect others, and you will grow, and you will spread this deception, which becomes anti-life. What is life? Live. To live is L-I-V-E. The opposite of live is E-V-I-L. It is evil. Anti-life is basically evil. Love is a big part of evolve. I'm not going to go into too much the word side of things, but you can just see how quite easily that there's two facets here. There's the light and the dark. There's the bad, the good and the bad. They're the two sides. There's the God and the devil. Devil is lived backwards. God is dog backwards, go figure. Dogs are very faithful. So let's go back now to bring the flat earth into this, because it's a very important part of it. And I'll try and actually load up while I'm discussing this the one Bible that I'm bringing into this, the Essene Gospel. It should come up very quick. Yep, so heliocentrism places the sun at the centre of our existence. You can refute this as much as you like, but this is how it came about. That instead of the whole universe that we see revolving around above the flat, infinite earth, we looked out and we decided, well, if all these little dots, some of them look like they've got other dots going around them. Some of them even look as though they've got a ring around them. Saturn. Now that's quite important. I'll bring that up later. Saturn is Satan. They decided, why not make everything go around the sun? Now they believe that the sun is the giver of life, and technically in many ways it is. But it also goes by many other names. And as you know, the planets, the wandering stars, are also given names, and I've told you they are gods, if you want to have a god. But the god is Lucifer. Lucifer, the morning star, the sun. And it's the son of God. See, that's the big difference. That's where it all got a bit confusing, and this is how the Lucifer rebellion came about. Because once we started worshipping Lucifer as the son of God, actually being God, it created this big problem. And there is something that comes up. I only learned it from the movie Dogma. But there's a part of the Bible, and I'll tell you I don't follow the Bible whatsoever. But there's a part in it where it says, whatsoever mankind believes in God's name on earth, God will hold true in heaven. So the great deceiver, Satan, decided to use that to his advantage to convince humanity, God's chosen people, to believe that the Son was God. But the Son is not God. What the Son actually is, and I know you're going to laugh at this because I get it quite a bit, but this is the actual truth of it. It's an interdimensional portal between the only physical plane of existence, which is the one we live on, which is Earth, and it's potentially infinite, or it may only just go as far as Antarctica, where there's a big ice wall and a potential dome around us, which I think is just as likely as any other story. But the Son is the interdimensional portal between heaven and earth. It is God's greatest angel. See, when God tries to appear to man, physicality cannot exist under such intense energy. It is specifically said, I will try and find it in this gospel, it's in here as well. I'll pause it to find it in a moment. Specifically said that the sun is like 1,000,000 times, God's light is 1,000,000 times brighter than the midday sun. So if you cannot stare at the midday sun unflinchingly with your own bare eyes, how can you ever possibly hope to look upon the face of God? It's simply not possible. So we have to take this into consideration and say, well, therefore God created these great angels, the greatest being Lucifer, to dilute that light through a dimensional portal so that it is sufficient to give us all the light and life we need here in this earthly realm. So primitive humans took that upon themselves to say, well, that is God. It's not. It's not even 1,000,000th of the intensity of the true light of God. And okay, I'll pause for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to the first quote from the Essene Gospel, which I really like. I strongly urge that you read the entire thing. It will take you about an hour, and then you'll understand a lot more of what I'm talking about when I talk about the Mother Earth being the infinite flat plane. If you understand her as an infinite flat plane and read the Essene Gospel in that light of knowledge, it will make a lot of sense. But the one I have to come to first, because obviously you're thinking I'm going to try and prove God with the Bible. Well, this is what Jesus said, specifically translated from the original Aramaic in this Essene Gospel. Jesus sat down in their midst and said, I tell you truly, none can be happy except he do the law. And the others answered, we all do the law of Moses, our lawgiver, even as they are written in the Holy Scriptures. And Jesus answered, seek not the law in your scriptures, for the law is life, whereas the scripture is dead. I tell you truly, Moses received not his laws from God in writing, but through the living word. The law is living word of living God to living prophets for living men. In everything that is life is the law written. You find it in the grass, in the tree, in the river, in the mountain, in the birds of heaven, in the fishes of the sea. But seek it chiefly in yourselves. For I tell you truly, all living things are nearer to God than the scripture which is without life. God so made life and all living things that they might, by the everlasting word, teach the laws of the true God to man. God wrote not the laws in the pages of books, but in your heart and in your spirit. They are in your breath, your blood, your bone, in your flesh, your bowels, your eyes, your ears, and in every little part of your body. They are present in the air, in the water, in the earth, in the plants, in the sunbeams, in the depths, and in the heights. They all speak to you that you may understand the tongue and the will of the living God. But you shut your eyes that you may not see, and you shut your ears that you may not hear. I tell you truly that the scripture is the work of man, but life and all its hosts are the work of our God. Wherefore do you listen do you not listen to the words of God, which are written in his works? And wherefore do you study the dead scriptures, which are the work of the hands of men? And when they ask him, how do we do this? He says, you do not understand the words of life because you are in death. See, this is my biggest hurdle I've got to overcome, because I'm talking to dead people. You are in death. You haven't cleansed yourself. You haven't purified yourself. And yet you're looking for light in a dark cupboard. You have to uncover it in yourself. You are in death. Darkness darkens your eyes, and your ears are stopped with deafness. For I tell you, it profits you not at all that you pore over dead scriptures, if you, by your deeds you deny him who has given you the scriptures. I tell you truly, God and all his laws are not in that which you do. They are not in gluttony and in wine-bibbing, neither in riotous living, nor in lustfulness, nor in seeking after riches, nor yet in hatred of your enemies. For all these things are far from the true God and from his angels. But all these things come from the kingdom of darkness and the Lord of all evils. And all these things do you carry in yourselves, and so the word and power of God enter not into you, because all manner of evil and all manner of abominations have their dwellings in your body and your spirit. If you will that the living God word and his power may enter you, defile not your body and your spirit, for the body is the temple of the Spirit, and the Spirit is the temple of God. Purify therefore the temple, that the Lord of the temple may dwell therein and occupy a place that is worthy of him. So you see, you are asking me to prove something which only you can prove to yourself. And you can only do that by experience, by reading through this entire beautiful, beautiful scripture and following it. You have to do it. It's like, I don't know, how can you compare it? Talking to a sleeping person as opposed to an awake person. An awake person will understand what I'm saying because they're already awake. But the sleeping person, which is you, won't understand it because you are asleep. You're in the dreamland. You're in the land of disbelief. Be back. Okay, well, I'm not even going to look to that one anymore for the moment. You can have a good look at it for yourself, hopefully. Just going to go quickly back now to the heliocentric model, because I've got a couple of minutes left. By making us go around the sun as the earth, that is the great deception. If we sit and think about the earth mother being the womb within which we live within the mother who is God. She gives us everything we ask for. We want to breathe, she gives us her breath. We want to drink, she gives us her blood. We want to eat, she gives us her body. That is the true God. And between the true God that we live upon, see, this is where we've lost our way, is because we turned it all into this masculine thing by honouring this bright light in the sky, while we rape and pillage the mother. We suck the lifeblood out of her, we poison her lungs, we pave over her beautiful pastures. We are killing her for profit, which we cannot take to our graves, which is why we're in this perpetual cycle of life and death, because we have totally lost our way. When we start turning to the mother, put your hands and your bare feet on the ground, get in touch with her, listen to the bird's song, listen to the wind in the trees, go out and shed your clothes and let the sun shine on your entire skin, bathe in the streams or in the ocean. We've polluted our own mother, and we are killing God, and we're doing so by denying her existence, because we're believing in this light in the sky being the Father or the Son of God. But no, it is the Son of God, definitely, and it is the life giver. But the life comes from the Mother Earth. That's where our bodies come from. That's where they go to. If you can't recognize that as the true definition of God, then you will never find it anywhere else. You will keep destroying her, abusing her, stealing from her, trying to suckle from her breast without giving anything in return. And you will never come to a true knowledge of who you are. The children, you are an earthling. Mother Earth is our mother. We are little earths, and we are star seeds. And the stars that we see in the heavens above us are literally great souls who have existed here before us. And sometimes they come back to tell us this knowledge. We are star seeds. And once we are finished as children working with the mother, that's when we ascend to heaven to do the work of the Father.